Yes, MSTY might be down in price, but they're still paying out those distributions. So we're going to update my spreadsheet for MSTY, CONY, SMCY, ULTY, YMAX, IWMY, and I've added another sheet for JEPQ. But the one I'm most excited about is, of course, MSTY, as I am getting so close to getting that one paid off. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today we're going to go over the YieldMax ETFs that I have that did earn a distribution this week. And also we'll take a look at my IWMY, and the new one I've added to the list here is JEPQ. So let's just go ahead and jump right into my spreadsheet and let's get going. Alright, so first on the list I've got CONY, and then we'll go to MSTY. So CONY did not pay out this week, but I do need to update the spreadsheet because I did buy some more shares. As I was telling you, and what I am doing now is if the current price is lower than my adjusted price per share, then I can buy shares and it will help to reduce this number, right? Because that is my goal, is to get this number down to 0. And by buying shares under this price, it helps to lower it on top of earning those distributions, right? So in that case, it's a win-win. Now, once this price is below the current price, then every share I'd buy at that point would increase my adjusted price per share, and I don't necessarily want to do that. I would prefer to buy the shares under my adjusted price per share so that it can bring it on down and get this thing paid off. And that is my goal for each of these ETFs. So let's just go ahead and get this one updated for CONY. So on CONY, it did drop. So what I did is I ended up buying on 9/25. I paid $6.50 and I bought 10 more shares. And as you can see, here my number of shares up here is 245 shares currently. And this is before entering my new purchases. So 245 shares with a purchase average price here of $12.21, but my adjusted price per share is $7.22. So this is the one I care about right here. This is the one that's going to make it or break it, right? So whenever I enter in this, it's going to adjust all of those numbers because that 650 is under 722, right? So that's going to help to bring down that adjusted price per share. Let's just see what that brings it down to. And it's also going to add 10 more shares to 245, right? So when I hit enter, let's see what we got. So 722 becomes 719, bringing it on down. Little by little, of course, but every little bit helps. The next purchase I did was on that same day. The 650 was a buy order I had in there for a while that just executed, right? But when I saw it drop, and I went ahead and put an order in at a price of 637, and it actually picked that up. And I got 10 more shares at that price. So now my 719 for my adjusted price per share right here will now become 716. And now I have 265 shares with an average purchase price of $11.78 right here. And yes, that is above current price. But since I am capturing my distributions, my adjusted price per share is at $7.16, so that puts it pretty close to the current price per share. So every purchase I make and every distribution I earn helps to bring this price down as long as the current price does not get above that adjusted price per share whenever I go to make my purchase. So as you can see now, I'm showing roughly about 1 year to get this paid off. Now that is an average of about 60 cents because it's just taking an overall average of all of my distributions I have earned, right? That's just the average throughout. So if it's going to stay around 45 cents, then of course it would take longer than 12 more distributions. So I am looking at about a year to a year and a half to get CONY paid off. But of course, every purchase I do make that helps to bring this number down will only help to get it paid off a little quicker. It only hurts me if I purchase above my adjusted price per share, because if I do that, it just extends that time to get it paid off. So now let's move right over to MSTY. And here we are on MSTY. And as you can see here, my adjusted price per share is $2.12. I am loving this one, right? It is just about to get paid off in the next few months. So super excited here. Now, I do capture my distributions. I do not drip, right? I do capture them. So that is how I'm able to bring my adjusted price per share down. Now, if I make a purchase, that does extend this out. And that's what happened to me in August when I made a few purchases. It actually extended this out because my purchases, of course, was above the $2.12. So when I do that, it makes it take longer to get it paid off. Had I not made those purchases, I would be paying it off this month. But that's okay. That is in the past. And I will enter my distribution and see where we're sitting now. And then we can discuss what my options are as far as in getting it paid off. So for MSTY, the X date is 9/25. It paid out 1.0105 per share. And how many shares do I have? Did I make a purchase on or after 9/25? Let's just check. And I did not. So therefore, I can count all 475 shares. So 475, and that's going to give me a total earned, which will then increase my distributions earned, and it will drop my adjusted price per share here. So let's just see. What will I have? Boom, $1.11. Woohoo! Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. Love it. Super excited. Now, with the way MSTY's distribution has been going, we are sitting right there at that dollar. I may need another 2 distributions now before I can get MSTY fully paid off. So it is looking like I should get MSTY paid off. If MSTY pays out at least 60 cents for the next 2 distributions, I will get MSTY paid off by the end of November. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and get it paid off, I could sell some shares, and that will also lower this price here, right? And if I was to do that, I wouldn't necessarily probably sell the shares outright. I would probably write a call, right? Sell a call at a price, and if it gets above that price, let them go. If it doesn't, roll it or just let it expire, right? So the premium will help also to lower it. And if they get sold because it hit that strike, then that too will help bring this down. Because if I was to sell a call at say $14, since the current price is $13.51, and I was to sell it at $14 and say the price went up to $14 by expiration and those shares got called away, that would mean that I could enter in right here of $14 as the sell price. And since I'm selling those shares, that would be a minus for the number of shares, right? Because if I'm buying, it's positive. If I'm selling, I'm taking away. So that's a minus 100 shares. So let's just see. If I did sell a call at $14 and not counting the premium I would earn, what would that put my real price per share? For fun, let's just see. Boom. Look at that. I am paid off and well past paid off, right? And as you can see up here, it tells you, since it has gone to 0 or negative, it is now paid off. And it also tells you how much you're over, right? So I have a total of $872.82 over the amount. So once I do get mine paid off, then as I earn those distributions, it will tell me right here how many shares I can buy and still keep my account with 0 risk to me, right? I would have zero money of my personal cash invested. Now, this 64 shares that it does show right here, this is taken into account of the money that you're over of 872, and then it divides it by the current price of $13.51. So of course, if the current price does go up, the share count will go down, and vice versa. If the price of MSTY would go down, your available shares that you could buy would of course go up then, right? So that's all it's doing. It's just taking this number and dividing by that current price to help you to know how many shares, and these are whole shares, not fractionals, okay? I'm only showing the whole shares, so I am rounding that down, and therefore you could get 64 shares at this price, and you still would not create any risk to yourself. The only loss that you could have is your gains that you're getting, or your distributions, right, from MSTY. That is it. You have no more personal cash invested. So when I see that green right there, it is on. I am so excited. I am that close. And like I said, I could sell a call, and if it did get to that point, it would sell them. And if it doesn't, then if we keep with what we're doing here as far as on the distributions, as long as we make 60 cents or more for the next two distributions, then I will have MSTY paid off in that option as well, right? So I have two different options here. I have to sell a call, earn a little premium. If it gets above it, let it go, get it paid off, or hold out for the 2 months and get it paid off as long as MSTY continues to pay distributions and I earn at least 60 cents per distribution, or at least a total of $1.11, I believe is what it was. So I don't know about you, but I am quite excited about this. Super excited. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this like that, just so that I don't forget about it and then it'll show incorrect information. But like I said, I could sell a call, and if it does get above 14, let them go and take the win, right? Now that will eat into those distributions, right? Because I would be selling that call at $14, but my purchase average being 24, that is a bit of a loss on the share count price, right? But that difference would be made up in the overage of the distributions and premium, right? So I'm super excited, cannot wait. And also I need to go ahead and close out this call as that one did expire, worthless. So we'll change that to red and then we'll just cross out that. So the only thing I have left still is that put that I did roll, and it's at $16 with a MSTY price of 13. Now with this one, it is at risk of getting assigned, right? I can either keep rolling this or I can pay to close it. If I can't roll this 16 down a good bit, then I will probably look to pay to close, which will then eat into my distributions. But I would much rather, again, get MSTY paid off and not incur another cost. So let's move on to SMCY and get the updated sheet on that one. And here we are on SMCY. And on SMCY, we did earn a distribution here on 9/25. That amount was 0.9147. How many shares? Well, this is my first one, and all my shares are before 9/25. So I have a total of 30 shares. So 30 shares will earn me a distribution here. And you can see I don't have any money in distributions yet. My purchase price being $14.39 and my adjusted price is $14.39 because I don't have any distributions yet. So what does this take me down to from $14.39 after entering this distribution? I am down to $13.47. Well, with a current price of SMCY of $15.05, I'm liking that pretty good. So that's the updated sheet for SMCY. Now let's look at ULTY. In ULTY, we did earn another distribution And this one is on 9/25 as well. And we earned 0.0921. How many shares can I account for? All the shares before 9/25, and those are all my shares, so I can count all 150 shares. So my adjusted price per share of $5.32, which is under the current price, which is great. But now let's add that distribution in there, and we take that $5.32 down to $5.22. Sweet. All right, and moving on to YMAX. On YMAX, I got 758 shares, average price of $18.66, but my adjusted price per share is $9.69 with a current price of $12.65. So, according to my adjusted price per share, I am in the good. So let's just go ahead and enter in those distributions right here for 9/25, and that amount was one of the lowest ones I think we've had, and that was 0.0821. How many shares? Well, I haven't purchased any, so 758 for the total number of shares right here. And that changes my 969, and that's going to drop it down to 961. So we did come down a little bit more. Each distribution or each purchase below that adjusted price per share only helps. So that's all of my YieldMax ETFs that I needed to update. I do have others, but those are the only ones that needed updating. So now let's take a look at IWMY right here. As I did earn a distribution for this one, you can see my adjusted price per share is $18.99 and the current price being $22.84. So this one, I am still under the current price. Now my purchase price per share is $42.31. So if I only was looking at that, I would not be too happy with this, right? But with my adjusted price per share, I am still currently in the good. Because if I were to sell my shares, all of my shares at the current price of $22.84, I would then clear $2,120.45. That is not on top of the distributions I've earned. That is all I would clear off as selling out of IWMY altogether. So I would earn back my capital and I would gain $2,120, right? So just wanted to be clear on that. So let's just go ahead and enter this distribution for IWMY. And this is also on 9/25. And the distribution amount was 0.36146. Okay. And how many shares? Well, I haven't bought any since. And as you can see, it's 551. So we enter in 551. And my adjusted price per share of $18.99 now becomes $18.63. Super nice, right? Love it. Love it. So it is coming on down, and I am still below the current price per share of IWMY. Now, I did add a new sheet here of one that I do have, and it is for JEPQ. And I've went ahead and I've entered in all of the purchases, all the distributions, and everything, just to help keep this one moving right along. And we'll just take a look at the summary section right up here and see where I'm currently at. So I have 147 shares at a purchase price of $58.23. Well, the current price is $57.25. So my purchase price, I am a bit over that, right? But I do earn distributions, and therefore my adjusted price per share is $39.88. Love it. So therefore, if I were to sell all of my JEPQ shares at the current price of $57.25, I would clear, after earning all of my capital back, the amount of $2,553.52. And that is what I would clear, right? But I'm not selling it, as I did make a mistake a while back when I got a little frightened, right? And I know a lot of you have done that, where you get into it, you're not too sure of it anyway, you put a lot of money into it, and then you feel like you might have made a mistake, so you decide to go ahead and get out before you lose too much, right? And I did the same thing with JEPQ, and it's been a while, but I did the same thing right here. I had a total of 1,000 shares, right? 1,000 shares. And I saw it coming down a little bit. It was down below my average, and I got a little worried, right? I got a little worried, and what I do, I ended up selling 900 shares out of that 1,000 shares. I wanted to keep a little bit just to play with it, right? But I got a little scared, and I pulled out 900 shares. And I did take a little bit of a loss, not a big loss, but I did take a little loss because I sold those 900 shares at $54.80, and I paid right here. You can see I paid an average of $55.59. Okay, so I didn't take much of a loss because I had bought, or the shares that I had was worth $55.59 per share, and I sold them for $54.45. So I did take a little bit of a loss, but not much. I'm sorry, $54.80. I sold them for $54.80. My average was roughly, and it's not going to be perfect here, right? Because there are 200 and 100 shares on each one, but on average, roughly, it was around $55. So I took a little bit of a loss, but not a big one. And that's just because I didn't fully understand what it was doing, what was going on, and I was only looking at this share price, right? And when I saw it go down a little bit and I wasn't comfortable, I pulled it out. And I could have done the same thing with MSTY, but by that time I had already understood a little bit better about capturing those distributions to help reduce my risk, and therefore reducing my per share cost at risk, right? So that is why it's a little different, as most of the other people in YieldMax or any of these other high yield ETFs, they're all rolling them, right? And there's nothing wrong with that if that is what you're wanting to do, if you want to keep that same risk. But eventually, at some point, you have to stop dripping those distributions back in so that you can capture the amount that you have invested. Get your money out and then let it grow using the house money. And that's my plan, and that's how I am working these high yield ETFs. I went over all of the ETFs for YieldMax that did change this week, along with a Defiance and a JP Morgan one, right? And I've got a few more to add, and I will do that each week. I will add a new one that I do have, and eventually I'll be able to create a summary page so that we can easily look at all of them on one sheet. So of course, this is why it's important to track that adjusted price per share. And if you don't have a way to track that adjusted price per share, then you're more than welcome to get this sheet, which will be available in the pinned comments and in the description, where you can buy me a coffee and get access to this sheet here. You'll get a view only sheet where you'll then make a copy of it, and then you will be able to use that sheet, enter in all of your own distributions and entries of each ETF that you have, and use that to track that real price per share, right? But of course, if you do have a way of doing that and you are tracking it, then please, by all means, keep doing that. But if you do not, check out the pinned comments and the link in the description to be able to get a copy of this Google Sheet. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.